My first car was an Alfa Romeo. It was fun to drive with a high revving engine and for the time excellent handling. It was also madly stupid with engineering decisions that could at best be described as insane. But all ex or current Alfa owners are Alfisti, meaning their love of the brand runs deep and in many instances defies common sense, perhaps because of the imperfections. Unimatic is a watch brand out of Italy conceived in 2015, and I did own an early Model Uno. It was very stylish, but I came away ultimately underwhelmed and sold it pretty quickly. However, I've kept an eye on the brand and never quite got over the stylish approach to watch design, which really is remarkably restrained and has an almost Scandinavian approach to minimalism, which of course I can get behind. When the U1S PD5 was released, it filled an imaginary hole I happened to have in my collection. No, that hole was not relating to a model name sounding like a washing machine, but rather it was a meaty and robust dive watch that I was missing. This model comes in two flavors, 300 or 500 meters water resistance, and it's so minimalistic that even its logo is blacked out, which is a design decision that speaks to me on a deep level in its bravery. Some Zin watches use red logo print on their dials, which is not visible underwater. But this is next level and I love it. It also has a lume treatment that I'd say is alpha level of, I want to say interesting. If you're interested in getting to know Unimatic's first 500 meter water resistance watch and its many interesting design decisions, then stick around. Now firstly, the most obvious difference between the 300 and 500 meter model is a thickness of about half a millimeter and €100. Based on those two elements, I figured I may as well go for the 500 meter model, and this is what I purchased. In terms of sizing, this is in theory a 40mm case, but the bezel sticks out to 41.5mm, so it really wears like a 42. And the crown guards are significant. It's a reasonably wearable thickness of 14.2mm, and lug to lug I measure at 48.7mm. The lug width is 22mm, and weight on the optional bracelet of 198 grams means this is a solid piece on the wrist. We'll put it on other strap options later, which will tone it down a bit, but it's certainly for those of us that don't mind an occasional dumbbell on the wrist. I'd have concerns for the wall that I slammed this in, not so much the watch. With the dial, previous Unimatic models left me fairly unimpressed. Not due to the minimalist design, but the details close up. This is different. The printing of the indices with their center and frame is extremely precise and very high quality. I'm not of the opinion that any watch that don't have applied indices is not worth your money, but the printing has to be good if that is the case, and it is. The Triangle 12 and brand classic horizontal liner 6 is equally as good. What I also respect is a very good minute track with an almost imperceptible but definitely there, slightly thicker line at each 5 minutes. The pièce de résistance, as I mentioned, is Unimatic the logo, the water resistance, and made in Italy in all black print, which can basically just be seen in the right light under loop or macro. Such a gutsy move, and I couldn't love this approach more. The fence post hands are blacked out other than the applied lume, and same goes with the second hand in particular that looks like it's floating with its long needle tip and lollipop counterweight. Legibility is very good even in low light. Yep, it's all basic here, but the devil is indeed in the details, and so far we are so very good. Holding the 3mm double dome sapphire crystal with inner AR coating in place is the ceramic 120 click bezel, which also contains Unimatic's first ever lume bezel, and has a fairly interesting effect in the dark with its subtle lines and numbers. Much like my old Zin U2 EZM5, this is a bezel that you move to go slightly past your targeted position and then slot back. So you could be mistaken in feeling that there is backplay, but much like that piece, it's by design and it works well. And it's actually a little easier to nail your final position once you get used to it. Of note is that the bezel is a very dark grey compared to the dial's deep matte black. With such a utilitarian design, it makes sense to have an all-brushed case with zero fanciness other than a chunky and again rather Zin-like crown guard arrangement. We have a thick screw-down crown which comes fitted with a double rubber O-ring mechanism to effectively prevent water from entering the case. This adds an extra layer of protection, but also ensures water resistance, and every individual watch is tested in the Unimatic lab in Italy. Around the back, we have an extra thick screw-down case back which features the scale that can help you convert between, for instance, miles and meters, but let's be honest, mainly looks good. We can also find some specs, the Made in Italy, and the logo with a number out of 500 limited edition. It's one of the more attractive casebacks in my opinion. Behind ticks the Sellita SW200-1B in its standard iteration of between ±12 to ±30 seconds per day. In the price range, one step up to the Elaborate would have been nice. Now speaking of opinions, this optional bracelet, which by the way arrived attached to the watch in advance, which is a nice touch considering it is an optional bracelet, is a beast. Every individual link is 4mm thick and screwed down, so easy to adjust yourself. The buckle is signed and you have the fairly rudimentary quick adjust of some dive watches that is okay but won't look that great when not completely closed up. But you're gonna have to get used to it since there are no other micro adjusts. The end links leave a bit to be desired. They are solid but not particularly precise fitting, but I like the masculine strong look overall. It is attractive to me and it's reasonably priced at an extra €100 upon order, but I would still want better fitting end links and a more elegant micro adjust or quick adjust buckle in an ideal world. It's also quite sharp underneath, a bit too sharp against soft skin and even potentially a wetsuit, which could be a slight concern, but you'd probably wear the watch on rubber for diving. Speaking of alternate straps, let's check it out on some other options. So to the Lume then. The approach is fun, the reality less so. Orange Lume is no good. We know this. It fades way too quickly. BGW09 Blue Lume is excellent. So measuring time spent underwater with your large minute hand is brilliant and reasonably important. Telling the time in the dark where all your orange Lume has faded in a few minutes, less so. But when fully charged by my UV light here, man does it look brilliant. So in conclusion, this is a chunky, sturdy, minimalistic dive watch that I think would look good with almost anything. And it has the vibe of something far more pricier and the courage to not shout about its logo or Italian heritage, which is so worth respecting in my opinion. The price is a reasonable €1,200, and an extra €100 for the bracelet if you want to order that also. Delivery is free, and this is a limited edition of 500. Okay, so the bracelet is not perfect, and the Lume is genuinely not useful in the dark unless you're actually diving, where you could say it's remarkably distraction free. The bezel action is also not for everyone, and the crown is so well protected it's almost to the point where it's a nuisance to wind. But I put all this down to personality, much like I did with my brilliant little Alfa Romeo. We don't need more samey dive watches, so the fact that this exists and is also as individual and as unique as it is, I think is worth supporting. Whatever you think, I have genuinely fallen for this, and I think for the right person, this is the dive watch to own. What do you think? Are you considering one prior to or after watching this video? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.